Hi, my name is Jason Allen, and this is my interpersonal communication project for Liberty University, class HSCO 508. I've been married to my beautiful wife, Annalise, for almost 3 years now. At least that's what she tells me. We have a 2-year-old son named Russell. We live in New Mexico, and I have been a deputy with the Donna Ana County Sheriff's Department for 3 years. Today I will be discussing my interpersonal communication, including defending interpersonal communication, my overarching goal, enlarging the conversation, positive and negative influences of my background in conversation, positive and negative influences of my behavioral blend in conversation, barriers in interpersonal communication, internal and external solutions to noise pollution, and my action plan for reaching my overall goal. Interpersonal communication defined. In order to understand the influences of interpersonal communication within one's life, they first must understand what interpersonal communication is and the impact it has on their daily lives. Stewart defines interpersonal communication as communication that happens when the people involved talk and listen in ways that maximize the presence of the personal. In other words, interpersonal communication is receiving and communicating in a way that emphasizes their uniqueness, unmeasurability, responsiveness, reflectiveness, and addressability. Vera notes this can be done formal, informal, verbal, and non-verbally, and can be between people that are more than acquaintances. Overarching goal of my life. Now that we understand the importance of interpersonal communication, I will share my overarching goal. My overarching goal is to show Christ and be a witness through my verbal and non-verbal communication. This will be done effectively, communicating and listening in a manner that represents my faith, my family, and myself in a positive manner. This also requires providing a safe environment for others to share, empathizing with them in their thoughts, feelings, and clarifying with them when I do not understand. Enlarging the conversation. Enlarging the conversation is recognizing the importance of interpersonal communication by having quality interactions between individuals, allowing each individual to share thoughts and ideas as they identify within the talker and listener roles. Enlarging the conversation is important because, as Stewart notes, there's a direct link between the quality of your communication and the quality of your life. Rama Haru suggests interpersonal communication is how we create meanings as we figure out what each other's words and behaviors stand for, represent, or imply. Meanings grow out of histories of interactions between unique persons. Ramaharu also notes what distinguishes interpersonal communication is a particular quality or character interaction. Quality in conversation and recognizing the distinct roles each individual plays within the conversation will enlarge it. Positive influences of my background in conversation. Adjustability. While I grew up in a predominantly Caucasian neighborhood, I now live in a multicultural area and have multicultural friends of different races and cultures. This has helped me with my struggles of totalizing and stereotyping individuals that are different than me. Being in the military has also helped me adjust to adverse situations easier than others. Biblical values. Growing up in a Christian household, I was taught and adhered to biblical values, which I carry on to this day with my family. These values were taught not only by my parents, but also my church and Christian school. Diverse jobs. During my early teens and early adulthood, I worked multiple jobs in different fields. This helped me not only understand different types of work environments, but also different social and economic groups and ethnicities. Being a deputy has also helped me understand that some of the less fortunate individuals and the situations that they find themselves in. Negative influences in my background and conversation. Some negative influences are totalize and think stereotypically. To totalize is to emphasize one aspect of a person above all others. Stereotypes, on the other hand, reduce our uncertainty by grouping people into broad classes that obscure individual characteristics. While totalizing and stereotyping can be good qualities and can save my life as a deputy, they are negative in regards to interpersonal communication. Totalizing and thinking stereotypically could also be a result of my misunderstandings and misgivings of different cultures due to growing up in a predominantly middle-class Caucasian area and not associating with people of different backgrounds or races. Logically minded, I am a logical thinker, and empathetic thinking does not come naturally to me. My wife reminds me of this every day. Peterson notes, relating to people based on logic thinking alone rarely builds close relationships. Digital era communicator. Social interaction is accomplished through the use of such communication technologies as computers and mobile phones, as Vera states. This might not appear to be a negative thing in today's society, but I have found it to be a negative part of my background that affects my interpersonal communication. This is due to the fact that I would rather send a text or email than call someone or meet face to face. While some might construe this as not being a problem and interpersonal communication can still occur, I feel it prevents me or is almost a barrier to my interpersonal communication and connecting with others. Behavioral blend. Behavioral blend is a mixture of traits each individual person has and can be defined under the 4 DISC personality types, which are broken down into 2 different influences that individuals fluctuate between throughout the day. The 4 DISC personality types are D, active and task-oriented, I, active, people-oriented, S, passive, people-oriented, and C, passive, task-oriented. Influences of behavioral blend. The 2 influences Carbonell describes are having mass guarded behavior, what people expect of me, or casual open behavior, this is me, and can be viewed on 2 graphs that show why an individual thinks, feels, and acts the way they do. My behavioral blend. My behavioral blend under graph 1, masked and guarded behavior, what people expect of me, SC or CS. This is described as someone that is passive and compliant, not seeking attention, and loyal to close friends. My behavioral blend under graph 2, casual and open behavior, this is me, DSC or DCS or SDC or CDS or CSD, which is described as someone that is direct, submissive, competent, who tends to be passive but dominant when needed. Positive influences of my behavioral blend in conversation. I come across as safe and secure, have good reasoning skills, I am good at passively resolving arguments, I am good at converting others with kindness. This is me. I appear outwardly confident. I am seen as a blend of strength, sensitivity, and serious thinking. I relate well with others in smaller settings, and I am a team player not looking for glory. Negative influences of my behavioral blend in conversation. This is expected of me. I overdo research looking for improvements. I have paralysis of analysis, meaning I am usually bogged down with details. I come across as soft or cerebral and not decisive or determined. I resist improvements due to uncomfortableness and change. This is me. I overuse my dominance and competence with others. I come across as too easygoing. I become stubborn and defiant when things are done incorrectly. I am too hard on others, and I overanalyze and prepare. Barriers in interpersonal communication. Do not take responsibility. I often drop out of conversations and do not take responsibility for my part in the conversation. Stewart notes we are responsible when we have the willingness and ability to contribute in some way to how things are unfolding, rather than ignoring what's going on or dropping out of the event. I can fix this by just accepting responsibility for my part of the conversation. Take responsibility. I often take responsibility for others' problems. This might sound confusing because I just said I do not take responsibility for my part of the conversation and that I need to take more responsibility. Let me explain. Instead of listening and letting the talker solve their own problems, I attempt to solve the problem for them. Peterson notes when we grab responsibility for the problems of others, they usually stop working on them and become irritated with us. As you can see, this causes issues. I need to remember that I do not own their problem and that they are just trying to share their concern with me. Listen logically. Due to the fact that I am a logical thinker, I also listen logically and intellectually. Burley Allen notes intellectual listeners listen mostly with their heads, hearing only what they want to hear, blotting out larger areas of reality. I often am only interested in listening to what I want to hear and what I can rationalize. I need to change the way I listen to make sure I am hearing the talker and what they are trying to convey to me. Empathetic listening. I do not often empathize with the speaker if the message they are conveying does not fit into my logical kind of thinking. Stewart notes in order to listen empathetically, it's important to develop 3 competencies: focusing, encouraging, and reflecting. I can become more of an empathetic listener by reminding myself and applying these 3 competencies throughout my daily life. Internal noise pollutions and solution. Noise pollution: perception, reception, attention. Information that conflicts with the listener's present ideas and beliefs may simply be tuned out. Solution: I need to understand that while my beliefs and ideas might be different, my goal as a listener is not to agree or disagree with the talker, but instead, as Peterson notes, my job as a listener is to stay focused and understand the talker. Noise pollution: hearing what you want to hear. Past experience filters can make a listener become anxious to hear something that fulfills his or her wishes or desires. Sometimes our preconceived notions or experiences prevent us from truly hearing what the person is trying to convey. Solution: paraphrasing. Paraphrasing is a restatement of the other's meaning in words followed by a verification check. If I am focusing on what the other individual is saying and paraphrasing it back to them, I will effectively hear what they are trying to convey, and they will correct my misunderstanding of them. Noise pollution: biased listening. We label the information ahead of time as unimportant, too boring, too complex, or nothing new, and we are anxious for the speaker to get to the point. Listening efficiency suffers when we listen without an open mind. Solution: understand what the speaker is trying to say, where they are coming from, and keeping a clear mind and using your senses to see, hear, taste, touch, feel what they are trying to convey by reflecting and respecting it. External noise pollutions and solutions. Noise pollution, hearing issues. I have some hearing challenges and sometimes am distracted in loud environments. Solution: I can solve this by making sure I am ready to hear and clarify what the speaker is saying. I can also aim my posture in a direction of the speaker and limit outside distractions. As the speaker is speaking, if I cannot hear them, I can ask them to speak louder or move to a more quieter area. Noise pollution, interruptions, phone calls, and computers. Often I am distracted by technology. I can prevent this by stepping away from my computer or putting down the phone, as Burley Allen notes. Concentrate on concentrating. If for some reason I do get distracted, I can ask clarifying questions to make sure I heard and understood what they are we're attempting to convey. Thinking of and asking open-ended questions will also help me focus on the talker and show interest in what they are saying. My action plan. There are a good deal of things that I can do to assist me in my action plan, such as memorizing and practicing verses like Ephesians 5:4 and James 1:19. This reminds me that God expects me to have purity in speech as I am a representative for Him. Ephesians 5:4 says, "Let there be no filthiness, nor foolish talk, or crude joking which are out of place, but instead let there be thanksgiving." James 1:19 also says, "Let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger." Applying this verse to my daily life will help me adhere to the three fundamentals of empathetic listening, of focusing, encouraging, and reflecting. I also plan on carrying the talker-listener card that Peterson developed. Carrying this card will help remind me that as a listener, I am there to provide safety, understand, and clarify, not necessarily there to give advice, defend, agree, or disagree with the speaker.